This is The Professional Stepdad, a place where we share stories, strategies, and ideas for men just like you to help answer that one important question: how can I be a better stepdad? All right, welcome back to the Professional Stepdad Podcast. I am your host, Franco Zavala. Thank you very much for joining me if this is your first time. Welcome back to those who have seen my show before. If you have not seen my show, I recommend going back and seeing episode 0, which is the welcome episode that kind of highlights and lays out what this podcast is about. As you all know, I am a stepdad of 5 kids, 4 girls, 1 boy, and the quarantine situation obviously is about to lift, right? Everybody's about to start not going back to their regular lives, but definitely they're not going to be forced to stay inside anymore, and they will be allowed to go to salons. As a matter of fact, my wife and my 3 older girls went to a restaurant last night and had dinner for the first time. I definitely don't think it's getting back to normal in any way, but it's going to be a change from what we're used to, since we were told to not leave our house and to self-quarantine. I think there's a lot of great stories that are going to come out of the quarantine time. A lot of great stories about stepdads who found time and opportunities to seek growth within themselves, with their partner, and with their children. There's going to be a lot of great stories that come out of the quarantine that will highlight some of the amazing things you've done as a family together, whether it's board game night, making TikToks together, going on a small trip, even if it was not too far away. Like for us, our very first trip that we took together as a family was to the drive-in movies because they allowed people to do it. And it was just great to get outside as a family. But, for us, this quarantine has been a time of not only reflection, but a time for us to come together. Sure, there's been bickering and fighting like all families do, especially between the sisters and my son. And with every family, we've had our ups and downs when it comes to being overly aggressive or pissed off because we're stuck at home, you name it. But for the most part, I gotta be honest. I've always been close with my kids, but man, I got really close with them during this quarantine. I got to see a side of them that I have never seen before when it comes to conversations and when it comes to creativity. I mean, it's been such a blessing. And I'm so happy that I was aware and focused enough in the moments to understand that this was going to be my opportunity and my time as a stepdad to really not just connect, but reconnect with my children in so many different ways. And like I said, I'm just so blessed that I did. And then my wife and I, it's funny what you take for granted, right? And we used to take date nights for granted, meaning I used to complain all the time about how we're always doing the same things. All we do is go to dinner, and all we do is see a movie, and then we come home and we're in bed by 10, things that married couples go through. But during this quarantine, I'm telling you, I was telling my wife last night, I don't think it's normal, but sure, it was nice to eat at a restaurant, but I don't want to go back to that yet. I want to kind of hold on to what we've been doing. I love getting food to go, eating in the car. I love the conversations that we've had and the driving around and the talking that we've done as a couple. I've loved that connection with my wife. I've loved that time alone. Even if it was just to laugh or to sing or to have fun. It's just been such a blessing. And I'm not going to be sad to see it go, because it's not going to go anywhere. I can obviously do it anytime I want, right? But I know things are going to get back to normal a little bit. And I can tell you right now that I'm going to hold on to a few things. I'm not going to let go so easy. And one of them is going to be our date night, because I really do enjoy that time alone with my wife and together with her as we just play around. But I'm making this quarantine. I'm making, the show today is going to be specific towards the quarantine time and what you've done with your family. Like I said before, there's going to be a lot of stepdads out there that are going to have wonderful stories about how they took the time to connect with their children within the home and with their spouse and with their partners and with their family members and the creative things that have come out of this time where we've been forced to stay at home. But unfortunately, there's a flip side to that coin, and there's going to be a lot of stories about stepdads who lost their way and were overly frustrated or didn't take the time to do the necessary work that they needed to do on themselves and on their spouse and on their children during this time together. And because of that, and I definitely don't like saying it, but because of that, you're going to probably lose real soon. There's a lot of bent up frustration and aggression, which is why, alcohol has gone through the roof as far as people buying it, using it, drinking it, and abusing it. Domestic violence is up. Child abuse is up, which is weird, but for a lot of men, let's just be specific towards men. A lot of men that worked at a job every day that left and went into this environment where they were able to shine during whatever they did, or maybe they're at a job they don't like, whatever it is, but it was still their time away from the house. A lot of men weren't prepared for this you can't go anywhere type scenario.
I'm going down to the Cheesecake Factory and have a drink.
And because of that, they snap and they start to find the reasons why they don't want to be there anymore. There's a lot of stepdads that are going through this right now because you can't go to work, because you can't go hang with friends, because you can't do your vices, because you can't have your alone time, and because you've been with the family in close quarters for so long. Like I said, there are two types of people that have two types of stepdads that are going to come out of this quarantine. It's the stepdad that grew or the stepdad that did not grow. I mean, that's really it. I mean, if you were still in the same place with your children or with your spouse that you were when this quarantine started, if you're still in that same place, if you still are having problems with the kids or still disconnected from your spouse, it's because you didn't take the time and effort to take advantage of this time that we've had together, this quarantine time. So, I want to use this podcast today, the show, I want to use it as a wake-up call to all the stepdads out there. I want to use it as a wake-up call to ask you, what'd you do? Did you take advantage of this time that we've had? Did you grow? Did you creatively grow? Did you build something new? Did you do something cool? For me, guys, it was this. It was the time that I had by myself during self-reflection and then doing things that I thought they come very natural to me now that didn't come natural to me before. And then when I saw how much feedback such positive feedback that I was getting about some of the things that I do as a stepdad, or that I do as a spouse, or that I do as just a man, because from routines to workouts to scheduling to habits to all this stuff, when I saw all the positive results that I was getting during this quarantine, all this happened during this quarantine. When I saw it, I was like, you know what? I got to do this. I got to launch this show. I gotta put this stuff together, and just see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen with the Professional Stepdad podcast. I do know one thing though. I do know that there are a ton, just based off of, you guys can't see this, but behind you is a board of 4 or 5 questions that I found today on Facebook from stepdads who are just, guys, they're blind. They're all blaming everybody else. They're blaming the bio dad. They're blaming the mom. There's a guy that's blaming the way his stepchild looks. He's literally blaming the relationship that he has with his stepson based solely because he looks more like the bio dad. And because of that, he's labeled him with certain traits and disadvantages and negativity. This kid doesn't have a chance, man. This guy, no joke, has no chance with his stepson. No chance. Because he's searching for the fault. And guess what, stepdads? Whatever you search for, you're going to find. So, I want to start interviewing more. I want to start having more conversations with stepdads around the world who have these incredible stories or incredible losses and failures, but what they learned from it and how they grew from it. There are going to be quite a few people that listen to this show or that watch this YouTube channel, and they're going to critique it and criticize what I say or the things that I suggest because, I think somebody the other day said, well, it's easy for you to say, you don't have it, and then yada, yada, yada. Or that's easy for you to say, it's not all sunshines and rainbows is one of the, just little tiny things, right? And don't get me wrong. I welcome the critiques. I welcome the criticism. I want it. I definitely want it. That's the only way I learn as a person on how to grow and take the show. I know that episode 0, episode 1 is not going to be like episode 12 or 25. I know they're not going to be the same. I'm growing through this process. Guys, I had no real idea what I wanted to do here when it comes to talking to stepdads. I just know that everything that I have bottled up in my head here and everything that I've done over the last 10 years worked. Again, please remember, it worked. It didn't solve all my problems. I don't live on some sort of in some sort of a cloud or on do I think that I'm better or worse than anybody? Guys, it just worked. Everything I did worked. It worked to the point now where I don't see my stepchildren as stepchildren. I see them as my children. My relationship with my spouse is strong. The bond I have with my kids is powerful. The foundation that we have, that we've built as a family, is a reason why during this quarantine we grew together, not separately. I didn't look for reasons to get away from them. I wanted to be around them more. Sure, I had work to do. I have to make money just like the next guy. I know you have to make money. I know you have to work if you still have a job. I know you have to do all that. But let me tell you, there's a lot of positivity that comes from creativity by using the collective strength of your inner circle, guys, and that's your family right now. That's not your buddies and your bar friends and your uncles and your dad or whatever it might be. It's your immediate family that's in your house. But you have failed to use this time to grow, and because of that, you are going to struggle coming out of this. Or worse, you're not going to do anything. It's going to go right back to the way it was. You'll quietly wait. Anticipating that moment where you can go, I'm out, and then you'll go. Guys, I know you're going to do it. I know there are stepdads out there that do this because nobody's ever told them that it pays off if you just put in the work. Just like anything else you do in life, anything you do. What do you tell your children? What would you tell if you're a coach, what would you tell the team? Would you tell the team that hard work doesn't pay off, and persistence and failure and taking risks and trying things out, and if they don't work, don't abandon it, remold it, and do it again? So I'm curious. I'm just curious, I'm curious to know what stepdads, I'm curious to know what you did during this time. I'm curious. I want to see if you grew, or you did nothing, or you left. But gentlemen, make no mistake about it. You are the leader of that home. And everything rides on your ability to handle to handle your spouse and to handle the children within the home. Everything rides on you. Everything rides on your emotions. Everything rides on your plan of attack. Everything. And you could choose to alter the timeline for your children and for your life and for your spouse life. You can choose to alter it in such a positive manner that 10 years from now, you'll get the thank you, or you'll get the I appreciate it, or you won't even get anything. You'll just see it in your kids like I do in my oldest daughter. Constant reaffirming of the process that I've done. And now when my stepdaughter, my oldest daughter, Brenlys, says something, I can see me in her. I can see the answers. I can see how she came to a conclusion that was full of positivity. But this is the best part. I can see how she handles rejection and negativity now. She still goes, like every other person in the world. They don't like it. but she doesn't live there anymore. That's really cool. That was really cool to see, because Brenly has that personality where she could when something doesn't go right, she would live there and she would never leave, like most of you guys do, right? When something doesn't go right, you just live there and you stew in it. Then you call up all your friends and you tell them all about what's going on with you. But Brenly's has this ability now to have something negative or bad happen to her, and instead of living in it, she of course recognizes it, but then realizes that she also needs to get the hell out of it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a trait that I gave her. So it's been a really great quarantine, and I don't exactly know when everything's gonna go back to normal, and I'm gonna enjoy the shit out of the time I have left and talking to you guys. So I appreciate you guys listening, and I appreciate you guys joining, coming to the show. This has been, and this will always be, a place for you stepdads to voice your not only opinions, but worries, doubts, fears, and anxiety. Ask for advice and suggestions, and the whole ask for help thing, guys. You need it. You definitely need it. You need to listen, but you need to make peace with the fact that you need to put in the work. All right, guys, this is episode 11, the Professional Stepdad Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you guys. You have no idea, even if it's just one of you. See you.
Quiet on the set, please. Thank you, everybody.